Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. Best of the best is what I promise every week for my listeners each show. And I have known this agent for a decade. She's part of one of the most successful teams in Northeast Florida, the Welch Team with Keller Williams. With a decade of being one of the top listing agents, she is certainly someone you need to get to know. She was recognized in the top 40 under 40 with over a decade of being a lead listing agent with the Welch Team. She certainly can be called an expert. I want to welcome Kelly. You don't pronounce it, DeLucia.
DeLucia.
Yes, DeLucia. DeLucia. You pronounced it earlier, and everyone wants to say DeLucia.
It's okay.
Yes.
I'll respond to most things these days.
I was going to correct myself because when I heard you on the phone and you said that, I said, I know that she doesn't pronounce it that way. I got to get the right pronunciation there.
It's all right.
All right. Well, Kelly, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you on.
Thanks
And like I said, I've known you for, really 10, 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We met the first time at one of Christina's meetings.
Yep.
And you've gone to the echelon, I think, of what a lot of agents dream of getting to, and what you guys have created over there. Welch and you, George and Christina, really as a leadership circle there is really just been excellent. So let's get started. Where is Kelly from? Where did Kelly grow up?
All right. So I grew up here in North Florida. I actually grew up in Clay County. I don't spend a lot of time over in Clay County anymore, but my mom lives in Fleming Island. So I get over there occasionally. Obviously, we work in the North Florida area and all 5 counties here. So I still know a lot of people over there. I still do a lot of business over there. But I was born in California. We moved here, military family, at a young age. My dad retired from the Navy, went into the airlines, so I spent a lot of my life traveling, seeing new places, doing new things, which impacts a lot of what I do today. Real estate is a great way to, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go into real estate for the flexibility. No, we're available all the time, but what real estate has allowed me to do is build a very successful career. I can't thank Christina enough I was the first team member. So
call that
first team member.
We gotta have a picture on the wall of just you and Christina.
Yeah.
Say first team member.
Although she did know George before me.
Right.
So Christina and George used to work together at Hertz, and then they both got their license. Christina decided she wanted to start a team.
Right.
I was doing some other things in the consulting world, and I knew how to start a business, but I didn't know anything about real estate. So I started doing administrative stuff. December of 2011. So this December will be 11 years.
Yeah.
And it grew and we grew, and here I am over a decade later. And
I was just looking at your Facebook. You guys had some pictures, and I think it was might have been 19 or whenever there was an award. I think it was award ceremony. Actually, it might have been last spring. Between you, George, and Christina, holding all your trophies in your hand for all the awards that you've gotten.
Yeah, those weren't just mine and George and Christina's. Like, a lot of those were the team members, the individual team members. I think one of the most amazing parts about our team is the way that we have been able to create success and a training program that has allowed every single one of them to be successful individually as agents. And those were awards for those agents that are getting recognized as top performers within the brokerage, but also on the team.
Right.
So it's been tremendous.
In a very short period of time. Now, I asked Christina this. I won't, if you listen to the podcast, you might not remember what she answered it, but I want to hear your take on this.
Okay.
Because you just brought this up. You're Keller Williams way, right?
Yep.
I know she follows a lot of their models. How much is it Christina, George, Kelly way?
That's a really good question. It's something that when potential new team members interview with our team, we touch on. Keller Williams provides us a tremendous platform to do what we want to do. So we have all the tools from Keller Williams that Keller Williams provides us. Keller Williams is a great training program, certainly largest international brokerage, so we can really tap into the brand name.
Right.
But one thing that we've always enjoyed about Keller Williams is the ability to create our own brand underneath there. And so what we stand for, we really want to add on top a huge layer of training to what KW provides, customized and tailored a lot for what we want to portray to the community.
Right.
And a lot of that goes back to training, education, professionalism, accountability. We want to be, we want to be known as the agents who can get things done when others can't, and know that we have a huge backer in KW.
So you like some challenges.
The longer you're in the business, the more you see, right? And that's not the agent answer of, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's no, I've been doing this for almost 11 years and have run thousands of transactions. And when you do that,
yes,
you see, crazy number of challenges that come your way. And we had, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, I was like, man, you guys, I feel like we're just getting so many crazy problems. What is happening? Why are all the crazies coming, right? Where are all the problem children? Can't we just get an easy transaction? It wasn't because we were getting a higher percentage of difficult transactions. It was because we were helping so many more people.
Yeah.
Same percentage, just larger pool. So when you help, one of the best things about our team, one of the reasons why I encourage people they should work with us, whether they're a customer or an agent, is we've seen pretty much all of it. No transaction is the same, but I guarantee you somebody on our 20-plus member team has had an experience that we can tap into to problem solve and troubleshoot and get that thing closed.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I have, and that's how I sell myself from the loan officer world, is I spent 12 years in the call center. How much more higher volume? You got a lot more at-bats. You've seen a lot more different credit reports, and you see what can actually close or, has a chance of closing versus, that's not really going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the more you see, the more red flags you know to look out for and how to fix it before it becomes a bigger issue.
That's it. You hit it right there. So let's step back. You went to the University of Florida, Warrington College of Business.
Yeah, so I have 3 degrees from the University of Florida. I spent a lot of time there. My undergraduate years, I spent very much enjoying the undergraduate lifestyle. Huge football fan. Still a huge football fan. I was in New Orleans the other week and traveled to Baton Rouge and watched that really glorious loss. But my undergraduate degree was in marketing and political science. And then I went back to get my MBA a couple of years later.
Marketing and political science. Interesting concept, but in some much related. Yeah. What did you see yourself doing with a major like that?
I was going to be an attorney. I took the LSAT. I was going to law school. Anybody that knows me knows that I will die on a hill. I will argue a point until I can't come up with anything anymore. I love to play devil's advocate. I love to look at both sides of the situation. I love to, there's, one of the things that's really great about the team, going back to what makes us different within KW, ethics are a really huge part of what we do. And I think there's a lot of correlation between understanding people, understanding process, understanding how to do things the right way. Does that really relate to law? I don't know, but certainly we deal with contracts all the time. And, we have contracts that, for whatever reason, people don't think that they're worth the weight on paper. It's like, oh, this is just a contract. I can just cancel this contract. No. There are things that we have to do. So, there's a lot of procedural stuff that I enjoy.
Well, even today, though, we're kind of getting off my normal path, but I wanted to ask this question anyway, since we're already here. How you're structuring that contract today with escalatory clauses and stuff like that, it's important how you word that.
Yes.
And having that more or less lawyer,
well, I don't want to make
how you're work, and taking the devil's advocate, who's reading it and who's going to, how they're going to interpret what you're writing.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a huge point that we try to stress all the time is we all have the additional terms and conditions that you can put in there. And I have seen some ridiculous stuff written in there, stuff that will never, ever hold up, right, in court. And I'm not an attorney. I did not go to law school. So anytime we want to add something in there, it's extremely important that we get the right legal language from our attorneys,
Right.
Our title attorneys, and really lean on them. Stay in your lane, let them do what they do best. And we've created some great partnerships with a bunch of the title companies out there to hopefully write better contracts for our buyers and sellers.
So you get out of school. I noticed you did some HR stuff, which I mean, some of them. You're still dabbling in the legal attorney world there too, in dealing with HR. But how? Because I think you spent about 4 or 5 years kind of in that realm.
I was so I worked out of college. I worked for Target Corporation, and I worked here in Jacksonville for a little bit. Then I went back and got my MBA, and I moved up to Chicago, and I worked out in Naperville, Illinois, and did the reverse commute on the train, and oversaw a bunch of stores, and headquarters is right there in Minneapolis.
Right.
So a lot of what I did, hiring, training, I did a ton of college recruiting. So I would go to college campuses. They have their huge career fair.
Sure.
I was there to help with that recruiting.
So spin that, and my question is, with that experience and you building the team at the Welch, how have you taken those skills? What are some of the things that you learned from that and have applied today?
Sure.
Recruiting.
I think the biggest thing with recruiting is making sure that you set the right expectations, have a great job outline, right? And then have a great training plan and following it. Because, you're spending all this time and energy trying to find the right person. And if they're not the right fit, look at all that time, money and energy you've wasted.
Yes.
And to tack on to that, after I was done at Target, I did some consulting work for a couple companies, 2 different companies who worked with IO psychologists, who are the people that make all those fancy tests that we all take, that people call them personality tests, right? Like the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, all this. And I worked with some very smart people who have doctorate level degrees that are going into companies, creating a specific behavioral style assessment for that company and that job role. And you'd sit in a room and there was like a deck of cards that had certain personality characteristics on it and job fit qualities.
Right.
And you'd create the ultimate ideal person for that job. So that was what I spent time doing, and helping these companies go through the processes to helpfully hire the right people, to have less turnover, and so on and so forth. So I try to take that same approach to when we hire at Welch Team.
Right.
And we have, several people involved in that process, all of us asking questions to streamline and get to the bottom of, do they fit our core values?
Core values, that's important. Give us a couple of 1 or 2 things when you're looking at that prospective new agent. What are just some initial on the surface qualities that you're looking for?
Absolutely. Well, we have
that make them, help them be successful.
Yeah. Well, we have our mission, vision, and values at Welch Team. Because we only have a short period of time.
Right.
But I did touch on a couple of them in the beginning, and professionalism, accountability, training and education, integrity. Those are all things that you have to have. If you are open to training and have a good work ethic, we can teach you what you need to know.
Right.
We were joking around earlier, and I said this, in jest, but it's very serious in that, look, I mean, there's a lot of people that do this job. There's 12,000 licensed realtors at NEFAR. That doesn't mean they all do the job well.
Right.
And so if you're willing to go through the right training and adhere to the mission, vision, and values of the team, then that's what we look at.
Right.
And that's who we want.
Right.
Culture is really important. You have to enjoy being around the people that you're around, because you're there every day.
So, speaking of that, you're doing a lot of personal development. You sound like you're either reading or a podcast or whatever you're doing. Is there any particular person you follow?
Sure. So I have always there. You've got a book on the table here with Ryan Serhant. He actually has a couple book. He's got 2 that are really good reads. I didn't even see this. Serhant.
So you've read both of them already?
Yeah.
Okay, that's normally my gift for the
disclaimer. Audible. I listen to them in my car, right? which I'm going to take a segment here. And so I think it's like chapter 2 or chapter 3 in this book, which is really good for inspiration, motivation, which is what you asked, like, what do I listen to for development?
Right.
So that chapter, Ryan talks about improvisational selling. So I would encourage any of your listeners, if you're in sales, that's an awesome chapter to read. But we're also having a workshop next Monday and Tuesday from 2 to 6. We have a few tickets remaining. And if you want more information, we're going to be going over with a trainer from Sales Gravy. So that's my other big motivational.
So this podcast will go out on Thursday.
Okay, so we can put a link in there.
So we can put a link in there for sure. So let's get that information. So I want to put up the show notes. Yep. But definitely, obviously we'll leave the contact information for Kelly for more details. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And so one of the things in here, improvisational selling, if you want to expand your sales, you have to know how to think on your feet, right? And navigate that. So that's one of the things, objection handling and listening effectively and communicating effectively. And one of the best authors on that subject that I have found is Jeb Blunt. So if you've never read Fanatical Prospecting, Objections, People Follow You, People Like You, those are some of his books. And they literally wrote the book on sales. So if you're looking for sales specific stuff, it's great tools.
How important is it we can say a lot of people in general, but since we're talking about real estate agents in general, how important is it that they're doing something in that way, whether they're reading a book, listening in their car, or a podcast? How important is that for them to do that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
I think if you're not taking any opportunity you can to improve yourself or your skill set, you're eventually going to get passed by.
Right.
Right? I mean, we only have so much time here, so let's make it as impactful as we can. Things change rapidly. Since I started 11-ish years ago, I mean, people weren't even taking professional photos. We've been doing Matterport tours for 8 years. They only recently became mainstream because of COVID.
Right.
So, those are some, actual listing specific things, but anything from, teams weren't a thing back then, and you have to grow people to create a team, and real estate is now tons of teams everywhere.
So whether it's staying on the edge of your industry, whether it's listing or buying, so whatever side you're on, but just staying on what's going on, the Matterport type thing, or just being a better person, a better listener, right? A better, the big thing with all the books and podcasts that you read is, especially, I don't know if COVID accelerated it, but the relationship building, and that we in our business, whether it's loans or homes, not everyone's buying and not everyone needs a loan every day of the week, but they occasionally run into people and they want to remember you. They want to remember me. They refer their friends, and we've got to build those relationships so that we're in their head when that time comes. And
top of mind,
and builds that longevity.
You have to add value, and you can add value in a variety of ways, whether that's if somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, how's the market?" Or if they're sitting there and they're struggling to find a contractor for something. There are tons of ways that you can help their life. And that's what sales is all about.
Right.
Helping somebody.
I take it, this is one of the audio books I did, but it was one with John Maxwell did. I think it's 25 Ways to Influence People.
Love John Maxwell.
And it's introducing them to other people. And to me, that's introducing them to a contractor, to that person who wants their closet done, whatever it is. But you're the resource. They're going to call, who's good at that? Who do you know? And that's that's the business we're in.
Absolutely. And if you really want, just tidbit, if you really want to dive into, the inner workings of people and teams and work environments, I would suggest people to follow Adam Grant. So if you don't follow Adam Grant, then he's a great one to follow.
This is a question off my sheet, actually, altogether, because you brought up Adam, and I was the agent I had last week on the show. He was following someone else pretty much through their podcast. But I've also had recently, you'll be my 33rd episode, a couple of coaches. Have you used a professional coach?
I have in the past. It's something that you really need to be matched with the right coach for you, right? I also worked for companies that sold coaches. So, it's something that I believe in. I'm not currently working with a professional coach right now. It's something that we literally last week talked about getting back into. Anybody who's looking for that, really match your personality with them, match what you're wanting to get out of it with their actual life experiences. And I think that it's a great route to take.
Where were you at in your career when you utilized a coach? I mean,
I've
brought you to that?
About 6 or 7 years ago.
So you had been in the business 2 or 3 years.
Right. And then, no, I'd been in the business about 5 years at that point.
Okay.
And then previous, it's the Italianness, okay? I got to use my hands. And then previous career. So, I think it's part of the growing and developing and getting better. Sometimes you have to take the blinders off and you have to have somebody that's telling you what you don't see.
Right.
And you need it to be somebody that you don't work with. Just like if you're married and it's your spouse telling you something, you're like, I don't want to listen to you. But like if your friend over there tells you, you're like, hey, honey, guess what? So-and-so said, and they're like, I just told you that last week. You didn't want to listen to me though, right? Like you wanted to listen to this other person. So coaches do the same thing.
Right.
And they hold you accountable.
Right. Did you feel when it took you up a notch? I mean,
absolutely. If you're committed to it.
Yes.
Don't get a coach if you're not going to follow through with what they're going to tell you to do.
You got to be ready.
You have to be ready. It's like going to counseling for whatever, right?
And
not wanting to be counseled. It's not going to work, right?
Right. Okay. All right. This is like the big interview question. All right.
If it's where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hate that question.
No, not that one.
All right. He's like,
I think it's better than that one.
Strike that from the list.
You've been doing this, we said, 11 years you've been in it, and you have accelerated with the Welch team. You guys continue to recognize you are, like I said, you are really in Northeast Florida. If they really dove into listing agents, your name is going to be on that short list.
Sure.
If you really dug deep, what's one or two things you think that, maybe you didn't do at the beginning, maybe you did, I don't know. One or two things that you think has been the bottom line, the foundation of your success as a listing agent?
Good question. This popped in my head, and maybe I'll come up with two while I'm talking about one. Number one, I always approached it as you, Mr. Seller, have a problem that I'm tasked with solving. And maybe it's a good problem, right? Like maybe you need a bigger home because your family is growing. Maybe it's a not so great problem. Maybe somebody passed away and now we have to figure out divorce or whatever it is. Everybody's different. Every sale is different. And I looked at it, like I said before, I was a consultant previously. So my job, I looked at it as a consulting role. I'm here to figure out how to best help you based on whatever it is you need. And once you know, what the problem is, what the goal is, and what the seller's motivation is, it's pretty easy to troubleshoot how are we going to solve that. But if you don't know those two things that are driving somebody's sale, well, how are you going to best figure out what they need? You could be spinning your wheels and going in one direction, be like, oh my God, I got this great price. It's amazing. And they're like, I don't really care. I mean, everybody cares about the price, but like it might not. They're like, but I don't want to move in 2 weeks. That's not what I want.
Right.
I want whatever else it is. Or I want it to be seamless, or I'm willing to not do A if I can get to B. So it's a consultative role. That's what my job is. That's what's made me very successful. No transaction, no house is the same. And it's not the house, it's the person and what the person needs. And if you can separate your job from, it's not transactional, it's all about the person, that will be success number one. Number two, I'm extremely forthcoming. I was going to say blunt, but that doesn't sound as great. Anybody that knows me knows that I say what's on my mind. I've had to tailor that over the years, right? Like there's a nice way to say things.
We're not related.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same way. So
it's your job is to tell people uncomfortable truths sometimes.
Yeah.
Because if you want to help them, they need to hear that. They need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly so that they can make the decision for themselves, because it's not what you think they should do. It's all about what they want to do.
Right.
So, giving them all the information, being educated on the market, and then sharing that information with them so they can best decide what their next step is. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just got to tell them whatever it is that they need to hear. So being forthcoming, telling them the hard truths, whether that's from, no, you can't price your home here. Like, we're not listing your house at this price. It won't sell. Or walking away if you know that it's not a good fit either.
Right.
So I gave you 3.
Well, your success allows you to do that a little bit as someone new, but someone new listening right now. I mean, this is, what she just gave you there in 1, 2, 3 is very powerful. What you just did, that's 10 years of a lot of at-bats, a lot of listings. I think when you were talking about a tough listing, I think when I don't know if it was the last open house, it was a while back, you had that very new construction in that neighborhood that was already established. If you remember.
You're thinking about Deer Creek?
Yes. And you had that house, and I know
Yeah.
that was a challenge for you. And you finally got it sold.
Yeah.
Now, in today's market, that might have only lasted 15 minutes on the market. But at that point, it was a tough one.
Look, and it may have only lasted in 15 minutes in this market, but this market doesn't last forever.
Right.
I think that's for people that are just jumping into real estate because it's so great and it's so easy. Mm-hmm. If you don't take the time now to learn what you need to know in 3 years, 4 years, I personally don't think anything truly negative is going to, come to our market. Mm-hmm. I think that most people would agree that we had super low inventory in 2019. We are still down 38%, I think, as of September.
From September last year.
From September 2019.
2019.
So if you look at where we were in 2019, and even because September 2021 to September 2020, we've got a little bit more inventory, like this much more. Mm. But if you look at where we were, we're still way down from 2019, and we have way more people that want to move here.
Right.
It's staying on top of the local happenings, finding out what's happening in your market, not worrying about the national media is going to make you super successful too. That's the other key piece.
Focus on your market, what's going on here. Because we are in a unique situation. There's jobs in Jacksonville, higher end jobs. We're talking finance and stuff like that. So they're good paying.
Healthcare. There's
jobs.
Military, infrastructure. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the port? Oh. Yeah.
So you mentioned Clay County earlier. If you guys, your mom's over in that area.
Yeah.
When that new Shands Bridge goes in.
Yes.
What do you think of the Palatka, Green Cove Springs?
Well, it's going to blow up. For anybody that doesn't know, Park Group, the people that are, responsible for the Nocatee development, they've already identified and they're full steam ahead on a mini Nocatee, or I don't even know if it's mini compared, a similar sized master plan community in the Green Cove Springs, Middleburg section of that corridor. So I
think it's the next decade.
It's going to be big.
I have a video on my that someone sent me where they actually, I think it could be a drone or a helicopter, but they literally go from the St. Johns River to where all the land is cleared to where it matches that expressway to coming that's already done, which is really only a third of the way done because it's still got to come over and go through St. Johns County and back out to 95. I really think it's another decade. And obviously I work with a large builder here. I guarantee he's got stuff out there. And I think for the next 10 years, I'll probably retire.
Down that way?
I'm old enough. Well, no, I'm just old enough to retire. My wife says I got to work till I die, but but I will probably retire by the time that ever comes to finish.
There's still so many stretches of land that you see about to be developed. If you drive between St. Augustine and Palm Coast, what used to be trees, right, on either side are just bulldozed, right? Those are huge, massive developments. You have Seven Pines going in on the corridor of 9A and JTB, kind of sad for the wildlife, but, massive. North side, they're building another lagoon. Well, another crystal lagoon.
To me, Nassau County is going to be St. Johns County, in a sense of comparable as development, and the people who are going to live there to style the upscale homes and everything. I think Nassau County is another. So Clay and Nassau, and then St. John still has a lot of ways to go.
I mean, you do have to go out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we just continue the sprawl.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot of development, and it goes back to your question, of where, like, what's happening over in Clay County. I mean, everything here is exploding, and that's why I say we're not slowing down anytime soon.
So on the topic of focusing on our region and so forth, obviously the last 6 or 8 months, we've been in this very low inventory, listing agents, and I'm sure a lot of people say, what do I even need you for? Okay.
Sure.
What are some of the things you're doing differently to, in the last 6 months or so to make sure you're convincing that person not to sell it on their own, that you're going to get more value, I assume, is what you're convincing. What are you doing differently than you say you were in September 2019?
Is it bad if I say nothing?
Well, you could be really good. You're just good
ex-
all the time.
Let me expand on that. So it's not nothing, but we have been using a lot of the tools, and this is why I say Matterport just became mainstream
Right.
in 2020. People just got comfortable buying homes virtually. We've been doing that for years. I'd like to say we were the first
In front of
people.
the curve.
Yeah, way in front of the curve. I'm not saying we're in front of the curve with everything, but for sellers, buying and selling is still a people process. It is my strong belief that the majority of people still want to know who they're working with. They don't want to talk to somebody on the other end of the phone just like as a local lender, right? Like you can meet with somebody. You don't sit in a call center somewhere in Minneapolis,
Right.
or wherever. So Detroit, exactly. I won't name names. So what I do differently now is really educate on their options. There are a lot of options. You've got iBuyers, you've got off-market cash buyers, you've got going on the market, you've got there's just a slew, local investors, there's a slew of different ways to sell your property these days. What's it going to net me? Because at the end of the day, most people want to know, like, how difficult is this going to be and what's my bottom line? So if you can show, okay, well, option A is this, B is this, C is that, and help them make that decision, if you're their trusted resource, there's still ways for you to help them throughout that process.
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier. I mean, the importance of sitting down and doing the consultation with them and understanding really what do they want. I mean, I had a buyer recently, and he was doing the iBuyer thing or whatever. They just write him a check or whatever. I'm like, have you even spoken to an agent to see, you might have gotten $20,000 more out of this property? Yep. No, I just want to get rid of it. So for whatever reason he felt that way, I bet he never actually talked to someone of your caliber to actually do a consultation.
Yep.
What is the most difficult, biggest challenge that you have? I mean, you're in the leadership circle. I know there's more other people, but you, George, and Christina primarily are the faces anyway, for the standpoint of the leadership circle there. What's your biggest challenge on a day-to-day basis? Coming in, because you have other assistants like Tyler who I've had on the show, that you've trained. Yep. What is your biggest challenge when you come in every day?
Time. Time. We all want to, Christina, George, and I are extremely committed to helping other people succeed. So if we don't have the time, to work with them and help answer questions, and especially our newer agents to facilitate their growth, then you feel like you're not doing what your mission is, right? Like yes, I still work with sellers, and we do have plans in place so that there'll be less working. We'll filter out some of those customers in the coming years. Maybe they'll work with some of our other agents on the team, but we've established a really large pipeline, George and I should say, and balancing time between making sure we're taking care of our people and our people on the team, and then making sure we're taking care of our buyers and sellers to the fullest of our ability. It's hard. You mentioned people that help. Like, you have to hire and train people that you can delegate work to, that you trust, that are not going to drop the ball. They're going to be an extension of you, extension of the Welch Team brand. Right. And if you don't do that, you're toast. Right. Right?
Right. I was listening to something the other day, but you give them directive. And the importance of hiring, bringing on a hiring, recruiting that right agent, that when you go tell them to do something, they're going to go do it. They're not going to come back tomorrow and say, oh, no, I didn't get it done. I had to run my dog, whatever, this happened. That They're getting it done because they have the same desire to do. But I think anyone listening on here, listening to what Kelly's saying, and I know Christina and Georgia are the same way, there are some people that will tell you, they're talking, hey, no, I'll train you. Kelly's putting it out here on a podcast. We're on Facebook Live. And I think you guys follow through with your passion that you just gave me. That,
I hope so.
Really caring
right?
about, because you guys have found that the more you helped others, the more you've helped yourself. And it comes back to you and makes that go. We're going to round up, but I want this question here. This is hypothetically.
Okay.
NEFARS called you up and say, Kelly, we need you to come in. We want you to be a keynote, speaking from any agent, but on listing. What topic would you think you would choose in that speech that you would give to a group of several hundred agents in a room?
Talking about listing?
Just talking about your career in real estate in general, whether it's listings, if you want to be that specific, but what has been the key to your overall mindset and your success?
The people you surround yourself with. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? You, whether you're a single agent or you work on a large team like me, it's, if you do not surround yourself with the right people, and it's just to tack on to what we were talking about just before that, though you can't do it by yourself. You just can't. You're probably not, even if you think you don't have help, you do. You have a photographer, you have a lender that you work with, you have a home inspector that you recommend. Surround yourself with the right people and they'll really help your business grow, and your customers will be happier, right? If you can be their go-to resource for anything and everything regarding their listing, then you'll be tremendously more successful. And that goes all the way down the line. If you are taking on your very first listing, well, you're going to need to partner with somebody to help you do that, right? So it starts from the very beginning. Surround yourself with people who can help you grow, whether that's at your brokerage or you work on a team. I wouldn't be anywhere without Welch Team. My name doesn't go on any closing. And I don't like that. It's interesting because you said earlier, and I'll keep it brief, that you're like, oh, you're top 10, listing agents in the area. If most people might not even know my name. I mean, some, people know my name that know me, but no sale closes out under my name. It all closes out under Welch Team, and I don't care about that. Like, I've helped the team, right? And I've grown in the process. So who you surround yourself with really, really rings true for me.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter how you've structured your role, single agent, team, partner. You need to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the right people to help you get to where you want to be, because that will help your customer.
So obviously I got the books here in the room, whether it's Jack Welch or Cardone or obviously Sirhan. We talk about personal development. I always ask something about that and what people are reading or listening to about. But you mentioned two important things that we hear are cornerstones in any personal development. And that one is surrounding yourself by, they always say the five people that, are driving like you are, and hopefully even better than you can rise your game up.
Absolutely.
But also the power of influence. John Maxwell talks about that quite a bit, and how you influence others. And it's not influence like you're leading them off a short pier. You're influencing them by being that resource. And you've mentioned that a couple of times here, by being that buyer's or seller's resource. Because this is what you do. You should know these people, home inspectors, painters. You should know these people and be able to confidently refer them and know that they're going to do a solid job by surrounding yourself by quality individuals that follow up.
Absolutely. Like if I were to send somebody to you, I would have the utmost confidence in the world that,
because you feel your reputation's on the line.
Absolutely. You know, so, and by the way, we do. And Tracy referred a team member to our team. So thank you. But yeah, no. He didn't.
All right, we're going to go into 2-minute warning questions. We're going to go into our 2-minute warning questions here. Is it more important who you know or what you know?
Both. Who you know can help you get to what you should know, right?
Yes.
So who you know can point you in the right direction of where you need help, and where you need training, and where you need education. If you're a know-it-all that walks in and you know everything, but you can't work with and through others, you don't want to. No, nobody wants that.
You're out on the town. I know you like to. You get out. I see your Facebook photos and so forth. Are you a Jumbo Shrimp girl or Jaguars fan?
I'm a.
Well, of course, you go to the Florida games.
I'm a football girl. I love the Jumbo Shrimp, but we're season ticket holders of the Jags, and obviously I'm a huge Gator as well. So
okay,
yeah.
You do travel a little bit. What's next on your travel bucket list?
Did you look this up?
No, I follow you on Facebook, okay. Girl. I'm one of your fans.
And, end of January, I'm going to Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
There was something going on. Something. Was it the soccer player? No, that was he's going to be the spokesperson for Qatar. I think is what it is. Not Dubai.
For Qatar, Qatar
Beckham,
Airways.
Beckham was going over there. There was something I saw in the news. Anyway. Someone listening, what's the best way to contact you?
You can contact me 904-323-2952. You can at Welch Team, pretty much on any platform, or you can at 904 Real Estate. You'll find me, 904 Real Estate, and or Kelly at Welch Team. If you Google my name,
your Facebook, you got an Instagram,
all of it, all of them.
All right.
You can find
and
them.
we're gonna get the link to the class you guys are offering next week. Now, what days is that?
November 1st and 2nd.
So Monday and Tuesday.
From 2 to 6.
Okay.
It will be in St. Augustine at the Keller Williams St. Augustine office, but open to anybody who is interested in sales. You can be...
That is a very nice office down there.
You can be a lender. You can be a surgical sales rep. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be real estate or industry related.
Sales-oriented.
100%. Sales-oriented training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good class.
It's going to be great. You should be there.
I should. I'm trying to think. On Monday the 1st, I've got something, though. Because I just went through my head and I was like, I'm just going to just bust in on that one. And then I think I may have something. I have to double check though. But if I don't, I will be there. I actually might bring the whole office. Maybe we'll all just kind of bust in.
And being tired
I got some free food and drink for 2 to 6. All right, so it's free food and drink. And we might be there.
Oh, like it gets everybody in the real estate industry excited.
All right, free lunch. They show up.
That's my actual piece of advice if you're starting. Like, don't drink too much and don't eat too much at those events.
Could be
Keep
bad.
it to a minimum.
Your fitness, the gym schedule might have to increase to counter that. Absolutely. Kelly, thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.